In today's video, I'm going to be building out a content agent to basically automate all my short form scripting, my short form ideation, and also my short form visuals for my content style of choice. So if you're a short form creator, if you're someone that's trying to get into content, because we all know content is king, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this with Claude Code and GitHub to literally make content creation effortless. Okay, all you have to worry about is click and record and then post-production and publishing. This is going to be a live build. I'm going to go through the entire process here with you, showing you exactly how you can do this step by step. So put this on 2x speed, get ready to dive in, get ready to get some value from this. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to make your content output that much better. If you're not creating content using this type of system, you are literally not doing enough. We need to be posting at least 10 times a day on short form platforms. So I'm going to show you the entire breakdown today here live as I build this out and get ready to scale my content output to 300,000 plus views a month, being able to do a lot of volume with this system. So let's get right into it. So what I'm doing here now, first and foremost, is I'm getting into Claude Code. We're in Claude Code here, and we are going into kind of training it on where we're at, and it's understanding the content style. So for your reference, my content style is going to be split screen sort of style like this with captions in the middle, talking head up here, and then a Miro board with visuals underneath. And we're going for 10 a day. Okay, so we're going to use Nano Banano to help us create the graphics, and then obviously we're going to train this thing on our entire market, our ICP, literally everything, so our messaging is perfect every single time. So we're going to get right into it. We're using Claude to basically create the frameworks and all the files and give it all the context we need, and then we're going to put it all into GitHub, and then we're connected to Claude Code, and Claude Code is going to be able to reference all these workflows and all this data, essentially the knowledge base, when we communicate with it all the time. Cool. So here we go. So right now we're kind of figuring out like exactly what the framework's looking like here. All right, so clarification, I would say B. Cool. So we're doing, I think it should be more like fully kind of hand-drawn style, but I want to have, Nano Banana be able to generate it. So like stick figure, hand-drawn style. I don't really want many icons in any situation, but really just images and graphics just representing a specific thing in like a very minimal style that almost feels like natural in a sense, but kind of stick figure, X's and O's, one key thing, kind of just like more of a visual representation than like a text representation, if that makes sense. And if there is text, it's going to be a really kind of simple sort of text style. Got the coffee in hand. We're going into it here, boys. We got the Zin. We got all the stimulants going today. We're going to try to do this here in about an hour. So you're going to see kind of everything I'm doing here for this exact system. This is going to be for our online offer, essentially, to start getting organic going so we can get the right ICP to see our stuff and kind of, dial in the organic with the paid ads on Meta. Great. So we're going to give it an example framework first. I already have the Git library here. BCG as short form. So this is specifically just for short form content. I'm going to be doing the same thing for long form as well. So we're going to get into, I already have an OS that's really dialed in with structure. So we're going to give it an example. It's already trained on in this OS exactly how to create ideas and scripts. So we're going to kind of go with this kind of file style. So we're going to give it to Claude here, and we're going to tell it exactly what we want to tell it here. Yeah, so first thing I want you to do is go for the content ideation workflow. Okay, so we're going to start with the content ideation workflow. I'm going to give you the framework that I was prior using so you can kind of understand the structure and how this works. And then obviously fill it in based on the ideation process that we're working on right now and how we're kind of planning on doing the ideation process for this framework. So obviously have it reference exactly what it needs to reference, like make sure it references all the knowledge base information in terms of our ICP and all that fun jazz so it actually writes this stuff in the right way. And then obviously give it the ideation processes that it can go through and exactly how it should structure these ideas and how it should save them as well. Cool. So now we're going to have Claude get going on this. And I'm going to make sure this is still sharing because I've had issues where the screen stopped sharing in this app here. So, yeah. So I'm going to go on Claude on the web here so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. That way I can share effectively with you guys here. Basically to give you some context about how this works and how I've done this before. I've done this before on this channel. I built a personal OS system to kind of just help with just personal business related stuff and content related stuff. Quickly realized that you really only need to make a GitHub that's specific to one task. That way you don't overload it with a bunch of information because you can't store a lot of data in here. I think you're only limited to like 1 GB or so, something like that. So this is kind of how it works. You have your identity, which I'm going to frame it as knowledge in this. This is where you kind of go into business model, context, voice guide, how it can write like you. So it reads that every time it's about to generate something. And then you have your framework. So this is like the instructions and just like the processes that it's trained on. Okay, so this is kind of another part of it as well, where it reads the knowledge base first, and then it goes into the specific framework or whatever it is you're trying to have it execute on. And it has an exact instruction on how to do that every time. So it's basically just multiple agents in one, I like to call it, and it gives it really good context in here as well. Let me actually get this in Claude first so you guys can see what I'm actually doing here. Yeah, so just made the file. I'm going to say, please give me the code or the folder structure for this repository so I can add the folders right now for this entire system. Cool. So now I'm going to have it give the folder structure, and I'm going to just go into the OS in GitHub and be able to put this together. So we're going to take a look at the ideation workflow, and we're going to see. So it knows exactly how we're looking. It has the generate daily batch. So say generate content ideas, Claude scans knowledge base, generates 10 ideas, saves to idea bucket, tracks used versus unused ideas. Cool, bang. So we're giving it the ideas, the hooks, the style, the structure we're looking for, read all the knowledge files, perfect. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go in here real quick and I'm gonna make the repository folders. You can do this directly in Claude Code, but I'm just going to do it simply to start, or we might have to have Claude Code do this quick. I'm just going to go into Claude Code and have it do it. So we're just going to copy this folder structure. Cool. All right. And these look good too. So we have content ideation, workflow, script generator, Miro board generator, knowledge, outputs, idea buckets, scripts, Miro boards. Dope. Awesome. And then I'm going to say one thing. I want the Miro boards to be in the script output as well, built into it, so it's easy to reference for every script. So I'm going to just tell it that, so that way everything's easy to reference, so I don't have to go back and forth to try to generate these content ideas, to generate the scripts, I mean. So it's going to give us a cleaner structure here. Amazing. Scripts. Each script file contains script and Miro board. Perfect. Nice. All right. Now we're going to go into Claude Code here. So I'm going to go into Claude Code. I'll show you here what that's looking like on our end. So we're going to find our repository we just made, BCG as short form. We're going to say, please create the following folders and file templates in this repository repo. Bang. So we're going to have it go in and create those for us, so then we can start putting things together on this end. We're going to have Claude Code execute here, which is super helpful, and help us set this all up. Cool. So we got that done. And once Claude Code generates our repository here, it normally takes a little bit to start up, but once it gets into that, we're going to be able to just update and add this file in there. Awesome. Please reiterate to me what you believe the script framework should look like. So I'm just trying to have it give clarification on what the script framework looks like before it goes deep. And there we go. We got Claude, just made all the folders. So we're going to go here, refresh this. Boom, boom. So we have our frameworks. So we have the content ideation workflow in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this ideation workflow, and we're going to go back into the BCGS, and then we are in the content ideation workflow. What we're going to do is edit this file. Hold on, let me check this out quick. Content ideation workflow. Yes, so we want to edit this file. We want to paste this file, commit. Awesome. So now our content ideation process is in the GitHub. Now we're going to take a look at what our Claude is saying here. It says, here's what I think the structure should be. Hook, 3 to 5 seconds. Exactly. Build and setup, body and meat, payoff, close. Yep, that is correct. Please use this template file and the key hook and scripting data in here to create the framework based on that structure you listed. All right, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my other repository, and I'm going to I already have like it trained on a bunch of content frameworks and like top 400 best performing reels. So I'm going to give it the file that we were using for this, so it knows exactly kind of how we're rocking with that here. Deeply understand the content structure in this file here as a reference, and tell me what you will include in the new file and lay it out. And then once I confirm, you can build right the new file. So I just wanted to confirm that it knows what the fuck I'm trying to do here. So we just want to make sure that it's understanding the key components of this file. Kind of show you, obviously, yeah, it has examples of like good scripts in here and stuff like that. And I think, I'm not sure if there is an identity in here. So we have the voice guide. Okay, yeah, so that should be enough. We'll see what she does. We'll see what she does. All right, now I'm gonna have it build the file. It looks good. I mean, it seems to know exactly what we're trying to do. Just making sure that it knows the context and how we're trying to do this. The steps: read the knowledge base, determine content type, generate 4 to 5 hooks, generate build, generate body, generate payoff, generate close, add CTA, generate Miro board visuals with JSON prompts. Cool, now it's gonna write that file out. And then pretty much once these files are done, all we're going to really need to do there is just get into kind of the branding and just like I would say just like the knowledge base in general in terms of context. So it knows and it writes everything in the right style. So we're going to do that after this. Should be a quick video. I mean, I already have a lot of infrastructure for what I've used previously. I've been kind of starting to run the business and integrate different workflows into GitHub as a whole. I think like realistically, this is how you should be running your business and your content output. It just makes it so much more simple, especially when it's trained on this. And then at scale, you can use it for actually doing market research for you and completing autonomous like agent type of workflows to go search Reddit, scour Reddit, and find different ideas that we can use for content. And then obviously like we're kind of putting a fail safe in here, I guess, in a sense, to where like if we already used an idea and it sees that idea resurface, we can break in and kind of branch into more deeper or like spin-offs of what that idea would look like. That way we're just in a good structure for that in a whole. This is going to be a pretty long one, so it's going into the JSON prompt as well. My style is essentially going to be Miro, so it's split screen like I showed you before. So we're kind of having some simple styles that we're getting into here because we want to have different visuals to kind of just like carry the video in a sense. So that is kind of the play. And then if you want to know where I'm creating all this content, I use Riverside FM, Riverside Studio. I think it's like $29 a month. You can basically create YouTube videos like this. You can do short form in here as well. And they have a really simple editor in there. Very, very good platform. Not affiliated with it at all. I mean, it's just the way I'm doing things. Once you kind of build up that system in a sense, it's just a part of the system in my eyes. Cool. It's going in, it's writing all of this in a super deep way. And now I'm going to go back here so you can see to this repository, and we're going to get ready to add this one in here shortly to the framework section, outputs. Yeah, so right now we're only outputting ideas, but eventually we probably want to output scripts as well in here. And the Miro board generator file, we don't need that. It's not relevant anymore, I believe. We'll see what Claude ends up coming up with here. All right. So we got our script generator framework. Let's read through it. Save to outputs, scripts. Yep, this looks good. Content themes, mechanism. It's got the script, hook generation rules. Cool. Awesome. So it's got everything in here. It's very complex, very intuitive. And I'm going to also say we need to generate a folder for the script outputs, and I want these script outputs to be saved in a date folder for the date they were generated, because I'm aiming to make 10 videos per day. So this needs to be simple. And then also we can have it execute all 10 videos at once if possible, and also just pull from the idea outputs we have for that specific day so that I don't have to go one by one when it comes to generating. Cool. So I just want to give it some context relevance here. So it actually knows. That way we're in like a good spot when it comes to the framework. Okay, please update the script generator file to reflect these changes and tell me how to prompt GitHub to create these new folders for the outputs. I'm going to also have it read our file so it knows exactly what our file is looking like right now. As long as it understands our file, we should be in a good place. So making sure we do that. Perfect. We're going to let it rip. It's ripping. Cool. All right, so it's getting into that now. Like I said, on the Claude Code side, we're pretty chill with where we're at right now. We got everything we need. We're really just waiting on the Claude agent. I would call this a Claude agent in my eyes, but cool. So yeah, if you are a content creator, this is so clutch. This is a clutch system. It'll be able to 10x your output, and at scale, you can have it just scrape different competitor ideas, content research, and basically get ideas for you. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just making a simple system to just get started as a whole, because, you know, right now I'm just kind of in that initial content stage, and eventually this thing can be updated to actually do autonomous workflows to make things easier for everything we're doing. That's the goal at scale. Cool. So it regenerated the file. So it made the 2 files. Cool. So it made the 2 files, I guess. I don't know what it updated in the content side of things. All right. So we're going to tell this, please add the following files and folder structure to the repo. All right, bet. And then also, if you guys aren't using like a social scheduler tool, this is a great way to do it. Go high level can literally schedule all your shorts. So in here, I have a group for my specific brand, and then I can go in here to new post, and I can literally select my entire social accounts for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I can go in here, post these as reels, post this as on TikTok as a reel, and then also post it on YouTube as a short. And then I can just upload one video and boom, write my content, write my caption, and we're done. So pretty simple there. You can also generate a follow-up comment as well, which is super cool. So it can kind of have a CTA in there, like click the link in bio for more information or DM me keyword, depending on what you want to do when it comes to the comment side of things. So that's pretty sick, pretty dialed, makes scheduling, posting, just dialing in content super simple. And you can also customize for each channel as well if you want. But I'm not going to be doing that. We're going to make it super simple on this one here. So all right, we'll see how Claude Code is doing. So it looks like it updated it. We're going to see what that looks like here. Scripts. Cool. So it has the outputs and the scripts. Cool. So we have our script structure. So it'll be able to have those scripts in there by date. So that's super cool. For some reason, it thinks it's 2025, which is not ideal. Say, please understand that it is 2026, not 2025. Ensure you are trained on the current date, so all storage is accurate across the repo. So we just want to make sure Claude's not tripping out. Cool. So the ideation workflow has been updated. So I'm just going to switch this up here back in the repo. I'm going to go here, frameworks, ideation workflow, and we're just going to edit this file. We're going to go here, paste the new file. We're going to commit it. So this is the update content ideation workflow to new content process. This is the V2 update here. And we can always go back on these commits as well. So just updated that. And then we'll go into the script generator and add that file as well here. And we'll go into Claude, grab that. And we'll go into our script generator. We'll be able to add this file. Amazing. It's a lot of code. Commit it. Add V1 script generator. And the cool thing here is you can always update this. So this is really sick. And this is like a very low storage amount. 35 kilobytes, or I don't even know what that's called, but you only have like, I think a total of a gigabyte of storage in a GitHub repo. So you want to keep it very minimal to one specific thing. That way it doesn't like over store a bunch of stuff and then you can't go any farther than that. So cool. Okay. Understand that today is January 10th, 2026, and all future date-based organization in the repository will use this as the year. All right. And then let's make sure that this is accurate on our end in the repo. Let's take a look at our outputs, and yes, 2026. Amazing. Cool. Awesome. So now we're going to go into Claude. We'll say, okay, Okay, so the framework structure is finished now because we have the two processes we really want dialed. Finalize this repo. Just confirming with Claude what we're doing to make sure we're on the same page with Claude here. And then, yeah, we should be in a really good place from here on out. So offer breakdown, ICP brand identity. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to go into ChatGPT. ChatGPT is really dialed on the identity of what we're doing. All right. So ChatGPT, I'm in the process of creating basically a content system, and I need to make some knowledge base files. Okay. So basically we need to get into our offer breakdown for blue collar growth systems, BCGS. Basically, you already know our offer. You should know all the context from this chat. So I want you to take all the context from this entire chat, drop it in, so that way we're in a good spot and you can basically help me kind of fill these frameworks and files in a simple way. So what I want you to do is I want you to scan through our entire chat and output to your best knowledge, like what our stance is and what is like our offer positioning. So like just basically our offer breakdown, what it is, who we help, all that fun jazz, just kind of an overview. And then I'll kind of get into you a little more as we go deeper. And then obviously if it's not clear enough, that's totally fine. Just give me your best understanding of what you believe the offer to look like, and then I can verify on my end. I don't have any crazy like knowledge-based documents or like crazy docs yet. What I am going to do, I wish I could turn on like deep thinking. I don't think I can. 5.2 thinking. Yes, you need to think. We want you to think on this so you can actually do the right thing. That way you don't give me an output in 2 seconds. Okay. All right. So we have our framework from ChatGPT. Paste this in. I'm going to give it just a little yap. All right. So I've attached kind of the offer breakdown and exactly what we're offering, but I want to kind of make it a little more broad. So we offer paid ad systems, but we also offer really just growth systems in general for blue collar business owners and contractors. So home service businesses specifically. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you want to just kind of make the document, make it simple, obviously it's blue collar growth systems. And yeah, we use it by using new technology, AI tools, all that fun jazz to make this process super simple. And this is exactly how we're going to be creating this. So if you want to kind of get deep into what this is, how this works, and break it down based on what I'm saying here, everything on this that I pasted in here is relatively correct. I would just say like our core offer is obviously like the paid acquisition systems, but eventually we're going to be, like that's not only what our content's about. Like it's more kind of a catch-all in a sense, but we are doing primarily paid growth acquisition systems at this point in time. So blue collar growth systems, just a background, we are helping contractors and blue collar business owners install paid acquisition systems to scale their business efficiently. And then also over time, different marketing systems, automation systems. We're basically just providing growth systems for contractors and blue collar businesses in general. So, that can be a lot, that can be broad and also specific, but realistically it's just growth systems. Great. Let's get into the ICP and brand identity, give you some context here shortly. Boom. So this is how simple it literally is to build this. You just got to give Claude all the context. Claude's going to be like, the more context you give it, the better, right? So we're going to get it. All right, cool. So that's perfect. Now what I want you to do is take everything you know about this chat, everything you know about this business, and focus primarily on the ICP breakdown. Okay, so now I want you to really just focus on our ICP and kind of like brand identity as a whole. So my idea for blue collar growth systems is we are basically like, we're not an agency. We're like a partner in a sense, and we're like very straightforward with what we do. I definitely want to be more aggressive on the marketing side. We're not like super aggressive, but we want to be aggressive. We want to call people out. We want to get them to stop scrolling and kind of snap out of it. So we're getting really aggressive with marketing. Nothing that's like super like over the top pissing people off, but like just calling people out, man, just going into it. Like we are a no fluff brand. Like we say whatever we say and what we say is true, right? Like that is what we do as a brand. So that's something to definitely keep in mind when you go through and kind of re-emphasize our chat, but focus is primarily on the ICP, super deep into the ICP, who we help, blue collar business owners, contractors, literally any type of service business that needs growth systems. We help them, right? Go into the revenue metrics, all that fun jazz. Literally get as deep as you possibly can into the ICP and do the same thing you just did in this last output. All right, here we go. Time to get into the next file. So we're going to give Claude the file and we're going to have it create the ICP. All right, here's the ICP framework for you. This is basically an entire breakdown of our ICP and kind of the pain points from a core perspective. We haven't gone super crazy deep into the market at this point in time, but this is going to be a good MVP sort of ICP. Obviously, make sure you understand this from a broad perspective as well. Like, I'd rather this be more of a broad perspective. Like, yes, it's specific to the offer. Yes, that's relevant. But obviously, based on what I said before, based on the offers and like kind of how we're positioning ourselves as a brand, make sure you kind of make the ICP structure the same way there. And then also just relatively like the main thing here is like these guys really just want straight up stuff. They don't want any BS. They're only worrying about revenue. They only want to focus on ROI. Can I get more jobs, right? Can I get more jobs predictably and make it easy to get more jobs? That's the whole goal, right? That is literally the whole goal of these guys. So take this ICP document, break it the frick down, and take everything you already know based on what I said with the offer, and yeah, create this ICP document for us. Let's build the file right now. Boom. So now we're going to build out the file for the ICP. This is really important so that Claude's going to know exactly like who we're kind of talking to, because that's really important for the content. We want it to make sure that it stays really relevant on what we're trying to say here. And then we can kind of, obviously alter this over time and update this file over time as well, which is really nice. That's why when I'm going into the GitHub, I am putting like the date, like for example, for the offer, right? As you can see here, this is when you see like the last commit message. When you see that here, the last commit message, I have V1 10 01 10 26 offer breakdown. So that way it knows like when we last updated it. So we can always come back in here and say, hey, we need to update this offer breakdown file, and just like make sure you're updating it on a consistent basis. Obviously, as you get more clarity, once you start taking sales calls, depending on what you're actually offering. If you're not offering anything, I don't know why you're making content. We're all making content to try to help people at scale. So yeah, this is kind of just like a good way to make sure that it knows, or at least internally, when this was last updated. So you can always go back and say, hey, like we need to update this. We got to do obviously housekeeping to make sure the system stays consistent, right? You got to do housekeeping so that the system stays consistent and keeps working for you, even when you get more data and feedback from the market. It just made the ICP brand identity document here. Dope. Cool. And now we're just going to go right in here and we are going to add the ICP brand identity file. Commit changes. So we're going to say V1 ICP brand identity. Nope. 01 10 26. Amazing. Then we're going to commit. Amazing. All right. And then next one is key terms and mechanisms. So we're going to get into this one here. Key terms and mechanisms. This is going to be very MVP because I haven't started content yet. But the big thing here is you want to have key terms, key mechanisms, and just kind of key messaging overall for your brand to make it a brand, right? So this is kind of more so just like the brand breakdown, kind of more so like how we're talking, how we're communicating, what are our key terms, what are things we should be saying and kind of referencing a lot of the times that also resonate with the ICP, but are also super specific to our brand. So we're going to go into that as well. I'm going to do the same thing in ChatGPT. It's already got all the context from building this offer out. So we're going to be able to kind of go through that. It's probably going to be a little more hands-on this time because I'm going to want to get into making sure these are actually good mechanisms and good talking points. So we're going to prompt it right now. Obviously you can't see it, but you'll be able to see it when I paste it into Claude. All right, so now what we want to create is the key terms and mechanisms folder. So this is basically going to be a folder of like basically how we kind of talk as a brand, right? Blue collar growth systems, right? We're blue collar growth systems, blue collar first, right? We're specifically blue collar. We're not white collar growth systems. No. Blue collar growth systems. Okay. So this is a big thing here. This is a big talking point. Cool. So we want to make sure that we're super dialed in when it comes to this system. And we have everything we need to optimize and scale. So I want you to go through the chat and figure out, obviously based on everything you already know, should be able to put a really good brand, this is kind of like a brand identity document, but I would call it key terms and mechanisms. So key things we're saying in content, key mechanisms that we focus on. Obviously our key mechanism is market research. And then obviously a good follow-up and nurture system. Like automations are super huge as a home service business owner. Like especially if you're an owner operator, you don't have any marketing department, automations and delegating specific processes, especially follow-up and nurture systems, are super important. So that way you can actually get the highest ROI out of your day. So that's a big mechanism for us. And then also market research, deeply understanding what your market looks like, right? That's super important. You got to know what your market looks like. So that's a big thing to focus on there as well. So yeah, we're going to go deep into this here, break it down as a whole, and yeah, get right into it. So go through this entire chat. Let's create this framework for the key terms and mechanisms that we're going to be using, and just kind of how we identify ourselves as a brand in terms of others in the market. A lot of people say, oh, paid ads, like how to scale your contracting business without paid ads. That's not our positioning. Our positioning is how to scale your contracting business with predictable systems, right? Paid ads being one of them, follow-up systems and nurture systems being another piece of it, right? Different AI use cases as well, because AI is super important with new technology and stuff like that. A lot of these guys are obviously outdated, so we got to make sure that this description and like how we describe things is super simple. That's why I'm going with a simple content style for this. So that way they understand what I'm actually talking about. We don't want to overwhelm them here. We're not talking to online gurus that already know all this weird tech shit. We want to talk to people that don't necessarily know it yet, but they can really benefit from it. So really ROI focused. They're only focused on the outcome. Okay, so that's really what we should be mainly prioritizing in this kind of messaging, key terms and mechanisms part. This is kind of like a key terms, mechanisms / like messaging document in a sense. So go pull all the information we already have and dive deep into this. That's talking to chat right there, prompting it. So if I tried to type that out, that would have taken me like 15, 20 minutes. Not 20 minutes, but probably like 15 minutes. But then I just talked in 3 minutes. So, all right, now I'm going to copy this. It gave me the entire output here. We're going to copy it up. We go here. We're going to paste this into Claude to show you this part. We're going to do another little yap. This is for the key terms and mechanisms. This is kind of like a messaging document in a sense, but like in the GitHub repo, we have it kind of titled as like key terms and mechanisms. So could probably switch this into a messaging sort of thing. But yeah, basically what I want you to do is kind of obviously keep the same kind of identity we've been talking about, how we're like a growth system partner, right? We build growth systems for blue collar businesses, and yeah, get deep into what this language document is and create a file based on all this context that you currently have for this next folder here, the key terms and mechanisms. Then we're going to get into Miro training next, and then market research. I don't have a source of truth yet for this, so we're going to probably skip market research for now to make it simple. Boom. So it's going to create that as well, that file on that structure. Like the big picture here is you have instead of like having like one system and like one prompt or one, if you're using a GPT or if you're using just like a ChatGPT project, you can instead have a Claude system that can basically execute on pretty much everything. You can give it way more context, which is huge. And it's got a bigger context window based on the GitHub repo. It can actually go through every line of code. So this makes it a lot easier for getting like high consistent outputs, right? Because like if you're using ChatGPT or a GPT or a project in ChatGPT, you can't give it a lot of knowledge and you can only use it for one thing. So we'd have to use one for ideation and we would have to use one for scripting. But for here, we can use one for literally everything. And it can execute and also store these outputs for us. So we don't have to manually copy and paste it in a Google Doc. It makes things a lot easier on your end of things to actually get consistent content outputs based on your brand and your identity. So it's very, very clutch to have this sort of system. So cool, bang, nice. So we're gonna add this into the key terms and mechanisms folder here. Edit the file, commit the file. This is gonna be, we're gonna name it key terms and mechanisms. Boom. Amazing. So we got the file in there now, as you can see here. So the last thing we need to do is do the Miro training. So this is just so it knows how to use Miro. For your reference, this is Miro. I use Miro for literally everything. As you can see, this Miro is like sweaty. It's got a bunch of random stuff in here. This is where we're going to be creating the content layouts. So we're basically going to kind of like start training it on Miro here, just so it knows what Miro is, just so it knows kind of how we want it to structure things in this Miro. Okay, so I should be able to do this just in Claude. So we're going to get into that one next. And then from there, we should be done and we can actually go into executing and start getting our first couple pieces of content out, which you won't see me do, but I can at least show you how it looks to execute on this based on some ideas that we already have. Okay, so let's get into the Miro training first. All right. Cool. So let's get into the Miro training real quick. I don't necessarily have crazy market research at this point in time. So we're going to get into the Miro training first. For the Miro training, you should already know exactly what we want to do with the Miro training. Pretty much just telling it, okay, what is Miro? How are we generating visuals for Miro? How should it be structured? This is really just context for when it creates the visual styles to go along with the scripts. So you should already have enough context here. So generate this file for me, and then I'll read through it and let you know if there's anything that needs to be changed. So we're gonna have it generate the file first, and then we're gonna read through it just in case anything needs to be changed before we start it up here. So pretty simple there, pretty dialed there. We're just we're just making it happen now. Cool. So it's going to get into the Miro training. While that's going, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Manus AI. Manus is really good for research. So really, oh, this is a meta. Wow, that's very, very interesting. Wow. Might have to start paying for Manus, low key. This shit's fucking kind of cool. I didn't know they were partnered with Meta. How much does it cost on the free plan here? Okay. In-depth research, professional websites, insightful slides. Yeah, this is a cool agent here. There's a reason they partner with Meta, bro. There's a reason they partner with Meta. This is super sick. I believe it can probably go through and do the GitHub as well. Manage repositories, track code. Yeah, cool. So we're going to have it do deep research here now. Let me see. How do I do that? Wide research. Please deeply research the blue collar home service industry and find their deep pain points when it comes to operations and marketing. Compile all pain points to a relevant document, deeply providing real examples from Reddit and other sources, examples of how they've been burned by agencies, what deep problems they have with lead gen, and if they are AI friendly. Just overall a deep insight to this market of business owners. This can include auto detailers, landscapers, hardscapers, electricians. I'm just kind of going into examples, pressure washers, outdoor lighting, literally anything home service, blue collar related. All right, so we're going to have it just do some deep research for us right now. All right, so it's going into deep research for us. Let's take a look at the Miro training here. Make sure this is correct. Yep, this looks exactly correct. Amazing. We're going to let this one rip. And the cool thing is we're getting market research right now while we're at it. That's fucking sick. All right, we're going to add this in, commit it. We're going to have it say V1 Miro training. So 01, 10, 26. Commit it. Boom. So now the last knowledge piece we need is the market research, which we're doing right now with Manus. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting on that is I'm going to prompt ChatGPT, see what it knows about the market as of right now. All right, last thing we want to get done is the market research. Basically pain points, literally like deep market research. If you have any ideas of market research, try to go deep, try to deeply understand like what pain points they're feeling, how their experience have been with agencies, kind of go into like every single possible niche we can deal with as well. Cause like obviously these blue collar home service businesses, we can literally work with anybody, electricians, hardscapers, landscapers, roofers, HVAC, there's so many different types of people we can work with here. So yeah, go deep into that, make that shit dialed in, and yeah, let's run it up here. Let's go. Cool. So we're going to have ChatGPT kind of go and do a little breakdown here real quick. And then we are waiting on Manus. Look at Manus go, man. Manus is just reading a bunch of stuff. It's sick. All right, now it's going to get into the report. And then we'll be able to give that into Claude. That's the goal. So I'm going to look at what ChatGPT is saying. Right. Almost done here. Home stretch. All right. So last but not least, I want you to help me create the market research document. This is just going to be a V1. I'm going to provide you with some market research here in the pasted links. And these are just going to be some simple market research. We didn't go super, super deep. This is just from a customer perspective, okay? Not a competitor level at all. This is not for us internally. This is market research basically directly into our ICP, if that makes sense, okay? So I want you to take all this information, summarize it for me, and then I'll confirm with you, and then you can write the file. Big thing here is you want to have it summarize everything for you so you know it understands before it wastes all these credits writing your file. Because, yeah, that would suck. All right, so it has our document here. All righty, now paste that John in, and boom. Now it's got the context, just like that. Manus gave us all the data, just like that. How many credits did that use? Doesn't even tell me. So that used a couple credits. Gives you 3 credits every day. That's pretty sick. It's a pretty generous free tier, not gonna lie. So that one costs 282 credits. Makes sense. Some deep research there. Definitely costs credits. I agree with that. Cool. Now we're gonna check. We're just gonna, yep, write it. I didn't even want to read it. I don't even want to read it. I know it's going to be correct. We know it's right. Amazing. Because we were really specific in our outputs and how we wanted to prompt things. So looking good. Now we're going to, generate the market research document. And now from here, we are ready to go into actually creating some ideas and some scripts and going into the actual process and making sure it works. And then obviously this is the whole workflow, right? You start in Claude Code. You get the ideas generated however you want to generate ideas at scale. I would like to have a system that essentially uses an agent to automate the market research and the idea generation process, or it can just pull ideas from the market research, one of the two. And then from there, we're going to go in and have it generate the scripts for us, all 10 of them in one go. Since it already knows the framework, it generates multiple variations of hooks, and then it has the body, the build up, the body, and the meat, and the payoff, and then the CTA. And then once it's done with that, we go in and we do the Miro and kind of lay out the structure in the Miro board. And then we go in and we just record. And then once we get done recording, we go into Riverside, we edit, we put the captions on there, we get everything dialed formatically. Then we go into GHL and we schedule our posts on 4 platforms at once. We do that for all 10 videos we made, and boom, we generate them. And the cool thing is here that every single video we make is the same exact style. So that's perfect. So yeah, that's basically our process. It's super simple now, right? You have kind of the Claude agent doing all the heavy lifting for you, and then all you have to do is just record and then do post-production. If you have an editor, even better. You can produce this stuff way faster. So yeah, that's the goal, and this is how we're scaling to 10 short-form videos a day that are still really high quality and really relevant to our niche. So let's just see where it's at here on this last document. Amazing. Cool. Now we're going to go back in, and we are going to, this is our market research, add the file in. Bang, commit it. We're going to have it say V1 market research 011026, and then we will commit. Boom. So now we have the entire system built out. Amazing. So one thing I'm going to do real quick, say awesome. That is every file built in the system. Please look at the repo and deeply understand the current condition of it, and if any files or folders like README, etc. need to be created before being this. So now I'm just gonna connect the GitHub quick, and we're gonna have it sync it and just basically have Claude read through the entire thing to make sure it's structured how we wanted it to based on the start of this. And then if it suggests any files, we'll go into Claude Code, or it'll give us the files and we'll just update them into GitHub. And then from there, we're pretty much done. And then we can get right into the generation. I'm going to just go straight into like the market research side. We're going to do one video as an example here live. Okay, yeah. This is going to be deleted. So we're going to delete that right now. The Miro board generator. This isn't relevant. We were going to do it a different way, but yeah, this isn't relevant. So we're just going to delete this file, make sure it's the Miro board generator, commit. Let's see, what does this say? Delete. Yep, cool. Boom. So now we just got the 2 frameworks in there. Awesome. So it caught that for us. That's perfect. So the README, cool. Create a README file and also a git. I don't know what the git ignore means for git best practices. I can't even speak right now. All right, amazing. So we're getting into that now. We're getting into the process. Looking good. Cool. Amazing. So we're going to have this create the file, and then I think there already is a README in here, I believe, right? No, there is no README. So we're going to have to, it's making it a really long one. I like it though. This is good. So it reads this every time. So I think what I can do in this system is I can add a file, create a new file, and then we can call it README once this is done. Generating the README, readme.md. That's what we're going to call it. So yeah, this entire thing just basically created everything we needed it to for us. Should I add the readme.md file to, yeah. So I already know where I'm adding the read.me file. Put it just right here. Yep, readme, and we want to do the git ignore. Okay, and I'm gonna say, how should I title the git ignore? Just so I know. I normally don't do git ignore. This might be overkill, but I guess if we can keep Claude Code on its stilts and just like not have it get sidetracked. Good. And then we just go in here, add a file, .git ignore. Then we go in here, copy that file, go here, commit. Boom. Awesome. So now we have all of our files. Let's go back in here. Amazing. So now we have all of our files. This should be ready for testing. Cool. So we're going to make a script right now, live for you guys to see how this works. We're going to go through the entire process and get the workflow going. Yes, sir. Cool. So what I'm going to have to do is, I believe, start a new chat in Claude Code, BCGS short. Yep. Say, please read the entire code base and be ready for me to prompt you to generate ideas content. Awesome. 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 So let me share my screen here again and show you guys what's going on in Claude Code. So Claude Code's getting into it. I'll explore the entire code base to understand its structure and content and then help you generate content ideas. So it's looking. So the thing is here, one of the downsides is it is going to take longer for you to get outputs because it's going through a lot of context before it communicates with you or before it actually completes that task. But the good news is it can do multiple things in one input. So you could have it basically go, hey, generate these ideas. Boom, it generates you 10 different ideas. Cool. Now generate me all the scripts for these ideas and then store them in the GitHub repo. And then from there, you're done. Like, it's really that simple. It's going to store them all in a date specific format, as you can see here. So we'll have our outputs. It's going to store ideas in the idea bucket. Cool. And then in the outputs, it's going to store the scripts for that specific day. Okay. So like for each day, it'll have 10 scripts in there. That way it's super easy for me to just go in there and go bang, 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 look at the scripts, get all the formats dialed in for the Miro, and then essentially just go from there. So super simple on that side of things. I just want to have it read the code base so it actually understands. You don't necessarily have to do this all the time, but since we did a lot of changes to the code base throughout this whole entire process, I want to make sure that it has all the context that we added in here. Okay, so it's exploring everything, reading everything, right? All the lines, so you can see it's literally reading everything in here. Doesn't need to be reading the outputs, but it's reading everything. And then now it's going to get into saying, yes, I understand the file. Here we go. You can create content ideas. Cool. I'm going to say, all right, generate 10 content ideas directly tied to the content ideas following the framework, directly tied to the, let's just have it tied directly to the feast or famine pain point. Ensure these ideas are stored. I will need you to write scripts after you generate the ideas. So I'm just being super specific with it. You don't have to be this specific, but being really specific with it, we want to make sure it's dialed in on this retrospect here. So cool. So we'll have it go through that process now in reading these scripts. Love it. So it's writing them all right now, all of them with the correct dates. This is perfect. Sounds good. All right, now it's writing all the ideas into the output. So we're going to check in real time what it looks like in the repo. Looks pretty good there. Awesome. So I have, for your reference, I have like a multitude of different kind of like, we can just show you the framework. So the ideation, we have 4 different content types. So we have 4 belief breaks. So challenge what they think is wrong. We have 3 pain mirrors. Show essentially just like showing them why they're stuck, kind of just showcasing them. Here's the mirror, right? This is why you're stuck. And then we have mechanism. So explaining why things don't work or do work. And then we also have like proof, kind of like an operator perspective, building credibility through lived experience. So we'll see if this actually gets the credibility side of things dialed in. So now it said here, ready to script. And I'm going to tell it, yes, script all 10 of them. And then we're going to check the GitHub repo first to make sure everything's set up and looking correctly here. And then this is one of those cool things. You can just let this thing run in the background and then you can kind of just do whatever you want, right? You can prep your camera, you can start getting into the Miros. Cool. So it has all of them in here. 10 ideas are in here. Amazing. So let's go into our short form content system, into our outputs, and make sure that our ideas are in here. First, let's refresh. Okay, it doesn't look like anything's been committed here. Oh, it's on a new commit now. Okay. So sometimes you got to create pull requests. I'm going to do this real quick. That way everything's in there so I can see it live. That's the one thing about this database here. Merge this. So you're going to have to merge as well over time. That way everything's like in one code base essentially. Cool. So now we should see everything's in one spot. Yep. So belief break ideas. Boom. So it has all the ideas. Amazing. Cool. Dope. Now we're going to have it generate all 10 scripts real quick, just so you can see live how this generation of scripts works. Great. Now generate all 10 scripts for these ideas and store in the output folder with specific date, please. This is going to take a minute. Okay, this is going to take a little bit, but we want to put it all in here. We want to throw it all in here. So, yeah, looking good. All right, it says I'll generate 10 scripts with the complete structure, including hook variation, 60-second breakdown, production notes, and Miro board JSON prompts. So it already knows. It's got everything, right? Following the complete framework. So it already read the framework. So it understands the script generator, and it also read the key terms and mechanisms beforehand. So it's really good. So it read everything that it needed to file-wise to be able to create this. Because you can literally see what it's looking at. So it's going to write all the scripts. This is a lot in one, but it's generating content ideas from literally just me saying one thing, right? I followed, hey, here's one main pain point. And then here is like, just generate it based on the feast or famine cycle. Since it already has the market research, it makes it real easy. Yep. Let's go. So it's going to write the script. We can see live. Amazing. Yep. And it's doing the visuals. Unreal. We just built this system in, how long has it been? It's been about an hour, 30 minutes. This will probably be about an hour long when you watch this video. And it's doing every single one by one. And then it's going to save this into our GitHub. So we can just go in here and be like, okay, cool. Copy, paste, get all the imagery generated. You know, if I wanted to follow the script word for word, I could do that as well. So it's writing every single one. It's dating them correctly. It's showcasing what kind of content type it is. Unreal. This is literally a hack if you're trying to create content at scale. And I could have this thing run automatically. Hey, every morning, I want you to run this and generate content ideas for me to record today. Super simple. And I can always switch this up as well if I need to, right? Add more context into it, but it's working really, really well so far. Obviously, as you can see here, it's writing everything. It's giving me multiple hooks to go through. It's following the best practices for the content frameworks. So this makes just content creation in general so easy, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, the hard thing for me is ideation. For me specifically, as somebody that's been creating content for a while, that's the thing. It's just like prepping to get content created. The production side of things isn't hard, but I think it's the pre-production is hard. Post-production is really easy. You know, at scale, I can have this thing write captions as well. So that's something we'd probably train it on after this. Like, hey, write captions for, I mean, relatively, we could say write captions for each video. But yeah, that's something that we should definitely focus on. So yeah, that's something that I can add in. You know, I'm just making this kind of pretty MVP for what I want it to do right now. And then eventually we can add more things to make our life even easier. You know, so that's super important there. So it's vibing. It's writing it all up here. Let's see how it goes. It's on the pane mirror. So it's how many deep? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deep right now. So we got 3 more to generate. 7 deep. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Loving it. And then we're going to make the same thing here for long form content as well. I don't like to have my long form content scripted, but I like to have like visuals, you know what I mean? To demonstrate the content in a good way, because it really depends. Like if you're making top of funnel long form content, it's more just kind of like you're explaining a process or a mechanism. And then middle of funnel is like actually showing, right? So it's kind of 2 different styles. That's going to be another video. If you want to see me build out the long form agent for this, let me know. I think you should definitely be creating long form content in your content workflow at least 2 to 3 times a week, even once a week if you're doing it at a really high level. But I think YouTube's super important. Short form is really just for top of funnel attention. And now that I'm making a predictable system for this, it makes it really easy to make short form content. You know, you have your style, you have your offer, you have your niche, you have your ICP, you have your framework. Everything's already laid out. So it makes it super easy to make content at scale. So that's what we're doing here. Mechanism. So good, dude. Even these scripts are amazing. Now it's going through, and so it did all of them. So it's creating, now it's going in and it's saying, okay, now these ideas have actually been scripted. So they've been used. So that way we don't repeat ourselves. Cool. So we're having it go through and actually make sure that it's tracking the ideas we're using. So good, dude. So good. If you give it the context, it will create. I'll tell you that right now. So this is everything we needed from Claude in one go to create this. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Boom. It says everything's out, ready to film. Let's go into our tab. Let's see for ourselves. The question is, did it do this on a new pull request? Boom. Literally has them all. They're all in here. Let's refresh. Let's make sure it's all in here. They don't have them in here yet. Maybe it's going to take a little bit. Oh, here we go. Cool. So it's in the, boom. So it's in this one. There we go. All the scripts, belief break. It's got the script. It's got our visuals. Boom. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have every single video in here. I'm going to go check in here as well to see if it actually updated the ideas. Status scripted, status scripted, status scripted. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly how you can build out a short form AI content agent that can essentially just take over all the heavy lifting for you. You can train it on your business, your offer, your messaging, your ICP, your market research, and your content frameworks. And it can essentially create short form content at scale for you without you having to really lift a finger. All you got to do is have like 5 minutes of patience, prompt it once, and it generates everything for you in one go. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to watch another video of me building a Claude agent, there's a lot more on my channel that I can show you for AI content specifically. I believe this is the way in the future that we are going to be running content and running businesses through Claude Code and GitHub to create simple AI agents that can automate and execute a lot of our heavy lifting tasks that would normally take us a long time if we were trying to do it manually or inside like a ChatGPT project or GPT, for example. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment if you have any questions about this, and we'll see you guys in the next one.